Hey everyone, today we are talking about our Lanai light installs. This is an awesome service here at Scooters Lawn Care for making your Lanai have an enjoyable light where you can see everything, or you can have cool colors, or however you want to use it. If you just want ambiance, this is a great install for you. So many homes don't have any light. They've got a couple fan lights tucked under the nook in the back of the house, and then out in the Lanai, other than your pool light, it is completely dark. So if there's any sitting areas, if there's any event or anything where you want to have a lot of light, it can be very, very dim and you can find yourself lacking. We used to try to take this on with adding additional landscape lighting, but it just did not do enough. So we came up with a new option to make your Lanai even better, even more bright in the evening. We're doing an update video for 2023 of how the service has changed since we first took it on, some of the differences we have seen, some of the installs and what we've learned, a little bit about pricing, how we use these, what they do, really just give you the right information to build a foundation of knowledge. So when you go out and purchase a system like this, you know what you're getting into and you know exactly what it is you need before you even submit a quote form. So to start off our prices, we initially thought that for a 3 light basic system, we may be able to be right at that 1600, 1700 range. What we quickly figured out is with variables and everything else, almost always our average price is 2000 and above. It's kind of endless. I would say our typical install is somewhere between $2,000 and $8,000. This is purely driven off of fixtures. Do you just need 3 overhead lights, or do you need 10 overhead lights and 16 sconces? What are your needs? So these systems can get as big as you want them to be, but on average, they're at minimum going to cost at least $2,000. And this is very variable driven. You know, where does the power source come from? How many wires need to get hidden? What other obstacles or things do we have to encounter on your specific project? Is access over the pool harder on this project than it is on others? All of these things drive the time and drive the variables that change the price of your project. Now, the install process. What I really love about this, when we got with this manufacturer, I felt like their install was the cleanest and was one of the best processes I have seen from all of the installs. So I want to explain to you what I mean by that and be as concise as possible. These systems that we install are all powered from the top rail of the Lanai. Why I think that's awesome is it keeps a lot of the wires hidden. It keeps a lot of what powers all of this out of sight, out of mind, and up top where water is, yeah, it's going to hit it, but all of it's waterproof, it's all going to run away from it. And it utilizes the grooves, the additional screen channel for your screen retaining rod to hold the Cat 5 cable that powers a lot of this. So it's a well-hidden system that is powered from the top. The power gets onto your Lanai where the house meets the Lanai. Usually we'll pull power off the side of the house, probably around something like an irrigation box, something of the sort, where we can just run power up the wall and then chase the soffit, and it is hidden the whole way. So the only utility you see is right there on the side of your house where your other utilities are anyway. Why I like this better is a lot of the other systems I've seen, they all power all of the Lanai sconces from the ground. So this means if you've got this much Lanai, a foot, 2 from the ground up to your Lanai deck, that means there's going to be some kind of corrugated or flexible conduit to feed a wire up there. And that's going to have to be hidden, or it's going to have to be behind something to try to make it look good. Now, do I think any of those installs are of poor quality? No, but it is much harder to make that look good. You also have to bore a good size hole to feed that in and then fish the wire up the channels. And so when I was looking at all the different systems, that's why I really fell in love with what we did, because it didn't have some of these complexities that other systems did. And it makes it much easier to hide on the install so you don't see anything. You might see a relay box, you might see a grommet where there is a little bit of drilling every once in a while on the top of a Lanai we have to do to power an overhead, but for the most part it's extremely minimal, and it's up top, so it's out of sight, out of mind. It's not around a Lanai cage right at where you're looking at your plants and everything else, and now you've got to figure out a new way to hide this big conduit line. Okay, finally, the last part of this, to update you and make sure you know everything. We've already went over kind of a rough price and what that range might be, a little bit about the installation process and why I feel that ours brings a ton of value and what you can look for between the different installs, especially if you're getting quotes from everyone and you can kind of ask, how's this installed? So you can know exactly what you're getting into. The final piece is the fixtures. What do these fixtures do? How are they mounted? What do they look like? What are the cool things they can do? First of all, we offer 2 different fixtures. One is an overhead fixture, our linear fixtures that are roughly 3 foot long that we put on the overhead beams in your lanai. A lot of times 3 of these will offer tons of light and really give you full spectrum color. The second option is sconces. This goes on the beams around the outside of the lanai. These are awesome lights. They give about 7 foot of effective light, but these are much more for ambiance, where the overhead linear lights are much more for total light throughout the lanai. When you pick these, you don't have to get both. You can get one or the other, or you can get both. And if you do have both, they will both be on separate relays. This means if you don't want the overheads on, but you want the ambiance of the sconces, you can do that. One can be off, one can be on. If you want the overheads to be blue and you want the sconces to be red, you can do that because they're on different relays. It gives you some flexibility there. So any of the features the lights have, they can be done separately because of it being on a 2 relay system. Now, when you come to these fixtures, the difference between these fixtures is just the fact that the LED strip is longer on the overheads and the sconces are short, and then they have a diffuser to keep the light from blinding your eye. That's a little bit of the difference. But when you come to the functionality of these fixtures, they are extremely cool. You can pick any color in the spectrum. There is a remote with a wheel where you can figure out what you like. You can change the hue. You can also dim them way down or brighten them way up. So there's so much flexibility. If you wanna, you can over install lights so you can really have it bright if you want it to, and then you can dim it down so you have like total full spectrum control over your lights. A thing that I really love is after a party, one of the best times to try to clean up for me, to get things done and not have to deal with it the next day, is at the end, and it's usually dark. So flipping them on full white, it's like a commercial white light that you can see everything. So any little piece of crumb that you want to clean up, you can see that out on your lanai, and you're not hunting around in the dark trying to find things. Finally, besides the control that you get, which is like a little Roku controller, a Fire Stick, if you know what those are, pretty much any kind of TV remote, but small. There's the ability with a Wi-Fi controller that's included in your system to also put an app on your phone and control these lights. So this is a little bit about the lights, how they work, a little bit about the pricing, and a little bit about the install, so you know about our lanai lighting service and what it does for your lanai. We hope we can make your evenings brighter.